Everybody, and welcome back to Trudge, a journey to being recovered. My name is Dexter. I am a recovered drug addict alcoholic. Welcome back to the program. This will be my last submission for this project that I put together close to 10 months ago for those of you looking for a spiritual experience and a release from drugs and alcohol. We are on the last chapter, Dr. Bob's Nightmare. Last time we finished the first half of this chapter, and today we're going to finish it, and then the training wheels are pretty much off. To those of you who have been following this program with me from day one, you have all the information you need to continue to live a spiritual and altruistic way of life, and that is being predicated on helping other people in order to stay recovered. The highlighters have outlined everything you need. It's all there. So hopefully those of you who have been following this program from day one are feeling what I've been talking about and are having these promises manifest themselves in your lives. And at this point, hopefully you're out there showing somebody else what you've learned. And your life is absolutely far and away has gotten a whole lot better. So let's pick up where we left off and go ahead and put a bow on this, okay? Last week finished on the top of page 178, and we'll start there, but we'll start, as always, with the third step prayer for those of you who care to join. For those of you who have been following this work with me from day one, it's highlighted pink. It's on page 63. By this time, you should have it committed to memory and be pretty much saying it on the regular. I open every day with this prayer, and it has just been the prayer for me. That's just how it has worked for me. So let's go ahead and do that, invite God in, and get right back to work. God, I offer myself to Thee, to build with me and to do with me as Thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do Thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of Thy power, Thy love, and Thy way of life. May I do Thy will always. Thank you for those of you who joined in, and let's get right back to work. Second paragraph, page 178. So we're talking about Dr. Bob's life, his nightmare, okay? And we're close to his end here, okay? So it says, about the time of the beer experiment, which he had been trying different ways and means to stop not drinking hard alcohol, now he's switching to beer, he's put on 30-40 pounds, okay? I was thrown in with a crowd of people who attracted me because of their seeming promise, health, and happiness, okay? These people that Dr. Bob's talking about, this is the Oxford groups, the early 1930s, okay, 1933. This is the same group that Ebby Thatcher came from, and Ebby Thatcher, as we know, is the man at 12-Step Bill who started this little fire that turned out to be the program, which is Alcoholics Anonymous today, okay? They spoke with great freedom from embarrassment, which I could never do, and they seemed very much at ease on all occasions and appeared very healthy. More than these attributes, they seemed to be happy. I was self-conscious and ill at ease most of the time. My health was at the breaking point, and I was thoroughly miserable, okay? That spiritual malady is all over Dr. Bob here, okay? I sensed they had something I did not have, from which I might readily profit. I learned that it was something of a spiritual nature. I have the word spiritual nature. I have those words highlighted orange, which did not appeal to me very much, but I thought it could do no harm. I gave the matter much time and study for the next 2.5 years. But I still got very tight. I still got tight every night, nevertheless. Okay, so a lot of people don't know that Dr. Bob was feeling what was happening with the Oxford groups, okay? But he still just was not ready to take that next step, okay? Real alcoholic wasn't willing to give that spiritual means a chance. He bristled at the thought of anything spiritual, okay? I read everything I could find and talked to everyone who I thought knew anything about it. My wife became deeply interested, and it was her interest that sustained mine, though I at no time sensed that it might be an answer to my liquor problem. Okay, he hadn't put the two together. How my wife kept her faith and courage during all those years, I'll never know, but she did. It sounds very, very much like Bill's wife. Okay? Same thing. Lois, Henrietta, these women, like the things that they did to hold those marriages together so these men could get well. Okay? If she had not, I know I would have been dead a long time ago. He's there giving her the credit. For some reason, we alcoholics seem to have the gift of picking out the world's finest women. Why they should be subjected to the tortures we inflict upon them, I cannot explain. Okay, Bill, Lois Wilson did a lot for Bill, and for AA, and Henrietta Sieberling, she did a whole lot for her husband, Dr. Bob Smith, and for this program. The women behind the men in this program, what they have accomplished and done to help further this movement should not be glanced over with a minimum of concern. About this time, a lady called up my wife one Saturday afternoon saying she wanted me to come over that evening to meet a friend of hers who might help me. It was the day before Mother's Day, and I had come home plastered, carrying a big potted plant, which I set down on the table and forthwith went upstairs and passed out. The next day she called again, wishing to be polite, though I felt very badly. I said, "Let's make the call," and extracted from my wife a promise that we would not stay over 15 minutes. So he's begrudgingly doing this, okay? And he's putting a time constraint on it. He really doesn't want to be there. Why? More than likely it's taking time away from his drinking, but it's probably some kind of damage control. It'll keep Henrietta happy, so he does it, okay? We entered her house at exactly 5 o'clock, and it was 11:15 when we left. 6.5 hours. 6 hours, 15 minutes, okay? Before they left. I had a couple of shorter talks with this man afterward and stopped drinking abruptly. Okay? That man was Bill W. This dry spell lasted for about 3 weeks. Then I went to Atlantic City to attend several days a meeting of Natural Society, which I was a member. I drank all the scotch they had on the train and brought several quarts on my way to the hotel. This was on a Sunday. I got tight that night, stayed sober Monday till after the dinner, and then proceeded to get tight again. I drank all I had dared in the bar and then went to my room to finish the job. Tuesday, I started in the morning, getting well organized by noon. I did not want to disgrace myself, so I then checked out. I bought some more liquor on the way to the depot. I had to wait some time for the train. I remember nothing from then on until I woke up at a friend's house in a town near home. These good people notified my wife, who sent for my newly made friend again. So Henrietta sends for Bill again, okay, over to get me. He came and got me home and to bed, gave me a few drinks that night and 1 bottle of beer the next morning. Back then, with no answers for this malady, it was not unusual for men to use alcohol as a way to help people, quote unquote, get sober so much, to quiet the trembling, to quiet the jitters, to ease the distress. Okay, that was June 10th, 1935. I have that highlighted orange, okay, because this was Dr. Bob Smith's last drink. Okay, that's Dr. Bob's sobriety date. As I write, nearly 4 years have passed, okay? So by the time that this was put into print, Dr. Bob had been at this for about 4 years. God knows how many people he might have helped between now and then, but it's said to have been thousands, okay? The question which might naturally come into your mind would be, what did the man do or say that was different from what others had done or said? It must, and the word must is going to be circled, it must be remembered that I had read a great deal and talked to everyone who knew or thought they knew anything about the subject of alcoholism. This next sentence is going to be highlighted orange. It says, but this was a man who had experienced many years of frightful drinking, who had the most of all the drunkard's experiences known to man, but who had been cured. And the word cured is going to be circled, okay? I feel like the word recovered is more apropos there, but back then they were seeing as if you could stop drinking, and any means to get you to have stopped is a cure, okay? Cured by the very means that I had been trying to employ That is to say the spiritual approach. Okay, so Dr. Bob was about that. It just wasn't working for him because there were certain things he just wasn't willing to do. He was kind of still bristled at the spiritual approach of the Oxford groups. He still drank. He went, but he drank. I remember when, I was trying to work with my sponsor early on in this program, and I was having some major problems in some outside areas other than alcohol and drugs while sober, you understand? And we would still do this work, and I would still go back out and do some of that other dirt. It's no different. Wanting to be all in, but just not there, and until he went all in, he was going to continue to be miserable and unhappy, as he spoke of, okay? He, Bill W., gave me information about the subject of alcoholism, which was undoubtedly helpful. Okay, this is in italics, so it's important, okay? Of far more importance was the fact that he was the first living human with whom I had ever talked who knew what he was talking about in regards to alcoholism from actual experience. I mean, you cannot put a price tag on that. Okay? This guy's not speaking about something he read in the book. Bill W. is speaking from what happened to him. Me, I am speaking from what happened to me. This was my experience. It just so happens that it reconciles within the pages of this book. But what happened to them, that's the same thing that happened to me. Okay? In other words, he talked my language. I have talked my language highlighted orange. Alcoholics, drug addicts, we speak a language to each other that the rest of the free world can't understand. People just see me as like, dude, you just need. I remember people telling me, Dex, you just need to stop partying so much, man. You know what I mean, dude? If you understood anything about drug addiction and alcoholism, you'll understand that this has nothing to do with party. This has not. Dude, I'm trying to get to a place with these drugs and these alcohol so I could be okay inside. This has nothing to do with wanting to get plastered. I'm trying to be okay with who I am. You know what I mean? And that's a huge part of this disease today that a lot of people don't understand. It's not that I don't want to get well. It's that I need that stuff to be okay with who I am inside. Okay? So I'm talking their language. Everyone, Bill, Bob, they were talking each other's language. They get it. Okay? He knew all the answers, and certainly not because he had picked them up in his reading. And I have had that similar feeling when I've worked with other people who have just said, man, you just get it. You understand. Like you're finishing my sentences for me. It's just like, are we related? No, we're alcoholics. We're drug addicts. It's not what we drank or what we used or where we got it or when it happened. But we all can we can reflect, we can understand dereliction, degradation, isolation. We understand that. We understand the depression. We understand the malady, the bedevilments, the man, the woman on page 21 of this book. We understand that, okay? One addict, one alcoholic helping another is absolutely without parallel. There's no, it's the ultimate weapon for someone who's suffering in this capacity, okay? It is a most wonderful blessing to be relieved of the terrible curse with which I was afflicted. My health is good, and I have regained my self-respect and the respect of my colleagues. My home life is ideal, and my business is as good as can be expected in these uncertain times. Boy, that's a big 180 from the person on the last page. Within 4 years, he's got his life. He's got a great life. And I'm sure it was better. It's just like that. And it didn't take 4 years, Overnight, in some aspects of my life, it got better. It got different. And I mean, this is my third year working this program in this capacity after being sober for 11 years. And it's not even close. I would take my life today over the life that I had my first 11 years, and most certainly over the 20 years of using, drinking, and drugging, robbing, stealing, and all that craziness that I used to do. It's not even close, okay? This is going to be highlighted orange through the next page, okay? It says, I spend a great deal of time passing on what I learned to others who want it and need it badly. I do it for 4 reasons, and this is me. I do the same thing, okay? I want it, who want it, and need it badly, and I do it for the same reasons, okay? Number 1, it's sense of duty, okay? My sponsor on the East Coast, in a little town in Pennsylvania would be up at 2 in the morning on Sundays, having to get up to go to work at 6 a.m. on Monday morning, working with these steps with me, because that was one of the only times that sometimes we could work together. Okay, so it's my sense of duty. It's my I owe addicts and alcoholics out here. I owe people who are suffering and want help. If I don't give back what was so freely given to me, I'm stealing it. It's a sense of responsibility. I'm responsible when anyone reaches out for help. Okay? Period. End of story. It's a sense of duty. Number 2, and this is all being highlighted orange, okay? It's a pleasure. I've expressed to you guys more than one occasion that nothing makes me happier than doing this. I have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed doing this program. My sponsees, man, they will attest to this. I am happiest when I'm in their company and we are talking about the steps and the power of God and what we can do to help other people and be wonderful, better human beings. There's just nothing, not food, not sex, not shopping, not watching sports. And those are things that I love to do. Not sleeping, not vacationing on a beach somewhere. They pale in comparison to the pleasure I get out of giving back what was so freely given to me. Number 3, because in doing so, I am paying my debt to the man who took time to pass it on to me, or in my case, in the woman, my sponsor, who took the time, who held my hand, who taught me and explained it to me, who went and found out for herself so she could teach it to me when she wasn't sure. Everything that I've taught you guys out of this big book, I absolutely paid my debt, and I can't think of a better thing to do after having such a wonderful thing happen as a spiritual experience than to want to help somebody else have that same experience, okay? Number 4, because every time I do it, I take out a little more insurance for myself against a possible slip. He's just talking about staying recovered. Nothing ensures more permanent recovery than working with another alcoholic, than working with another addict. It just keeps me from worrying about that obsession ever returning, and there will be any slips, We spend too much time nowadays talking about ways and means to not relapse. Relapse does not have to be an option. It is not mandatory that you relapse and you fall on your face in this journey that you're taking. Absolutely not. You work these steps. You give back, you clean your house, you help others, and you stay recovered. That obsession leaves, God's power kicks in, and I'm not thinking about getting drunk or high anytime soon. I'm just not. It's just not part of my equation. Why? Because every time I do this, every time I work with somebody, every time I go out of my way to give, it keeps me on the recovered pattern, keeps my program at its highest peak. It's a way of life. And I see it as such, and that's why I do this. Not just because I really enjoy it, but why? Because I love this life. I don't want to go back out there. All those things that never happened to me, they'll happen if I go out there. I keep it right front. I don't play about this. I take this very, very seriously. And so the same reasons that Dr. Bob is into, that's the same reasons for me. More times than not, for recovered alcoholics who are doing the things that he's doing, it's the same reasons for them. We do this because it's a pleasure. We do this because we want to stay recovered. We do this because we're responsible. Okay? It's a sense of duty. Unlike most of our crowd, I did not get over my craving for liquor much during the first 2.5 years of abstinence. It was almost always with me, but at no time have I been anywhere near yielding. I used to get terribly upset when I saw my friends drink and knew I could not, but I schooled myself to believe that though once I had the same privilege, I had abused it so frightfully that it was withdrawn. So it doesn't behoove me to squawk about it, for after all, no one ever had to throw me down and pour liquor down my throat. If you think you are an atheist or an agnostic, a skeptic, or have any other form of intellectual pride, and I have that intellectual pride highlighted orange, because you can be too smart to get this program, okay? This does not have anything to do with intelligence. Some of the smartest people have had recovered. Some of the dumbest people have been recovered. This has to do with willingness. This has to do with honesty. This has to do with open-mindedness, okay? Intellectual pride, which keeps you from accepting what's in this book. I feel sorry for you. And I do too. And I do too. Because if you're one of those people that wants to get well, truly in your heart wants to stop what you're doing and be recovered, and have that obsession removed, but you're letting this one thing block you, I feel bad for you, because it's a shame that will keep you from getting to that point. If you still think you are strong enough to beat the game alone, that's your affair. Yeah, and if you're one of those people that wants to be out there and drink, hey man, have at it. You know what I mean? You want to try to control your drinking? It's none of my business what you want to do. You know, if you think you're not a real alcoholic, you're just a hard drinker, you don't need the spiritual experience, go for it. You know what I mean? That's your affair. Okay? But if you really and truly want to quit drinking liquor for good and sincerely feel that you must have some help, we know that we have an answer for you. And that's how I feel. Okay? Because this didn't just happen to me. It happened to my sponsor, her sponsor, his sponsor, my first sponsee, his first sponsee. Now they have sponsees. I mean, it works. I mean, it's for me, it's tangible evidence that this works, okay? This is going to be highlighted orange. It says it never fails, and the word never is circled. Never. If you go about it with one half the zeal that you have been in the habit of showing when you were getting another drink or you were getting more drugs, if you go with one half of that verve, that yin, that desire to acquire those things, to do this work, it will never fail. We have never seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path here. And my great-grand sponsor told me that this is probably one of the best paragraphs in the book. Because, you know, while it seems like it's a whole ton of work to do this, the 4th step is long. The 9th step can be, you know, hard for people to do, swallow their pride, make their amends. But if we're willing to go at that stuff with half the effort that we went, I mean, I went at it. Getting drugs and alcohol, sex, gambling, I mean, I went after it. You know what I mean? If I went half that to do this, it's not going to fail for you, okay? It says, your heavenly Father will never let you down. And that's a promise. Let's go ahead and highlight that yellow. Because when you do the footwork, a power greater than yourself, which is of your own conception, will never let you down, okay? It absolutely will never, ever let you down. It's really just about following the directions, okay? And our responsibility is to have the same answer for the newcomer and to preserve the integrity of this book. You know, Alcoholics Anonymous has changed over the decades, you know, and the things that this program was predicated on that have come out of this book at some, you know, juncture kind of got pushed to the side, you know, and it kind of buckled under the weight of a lot of treatment center speak and a lot of different things, and it is less than, or I don't even say it's a shell of the program that it used to be, you know, during the inception of this program. This was about having a spiritual experience. You know, this was not about saying, don't drink and go to meetings. This was not about do a 90 and 90, okay? It doesn't say those things anywhere in this book. This is not about getting a coin. While, you know, I'm not saying that's not important, you know, showing others that this program can work is absolutely important, you know, but it has nothing to do really with that. The goal here is not to get a coin. The goal here is to have a spiritual experience, okay? This program is not about not drinking one day at a time. I don't know where that came from. It doesn't say that in this book. This program is about having a spiritual awakening, okay, at the hands of doing these steps, you know, finding a higher power, and then all your problems, you know, all your obsessions will be removed if you work at that, you know, and you help other people in the same capacity that our forefathers have done that, okay? I think if I could say anything to close out this program that I've put together for you guys is to understand what really is AA and what really isn't. I mean, even some of our own literature nowadays, Living Sober, some of our grapevines, they speak to this new style, this new brand of AA that, you know, there are ways and means to stay sober. If you're a real alcoholic, there's one way, you know, and it's to accept spiritual help. Go over what we've done. Look at the green. Look at the orange, you know, look at the yellow. Is the yellow stuff happening for you? If it's not, look at what's green, because more than likely there's some action that you're not taking, and that's why it's not working for you. This program is predicated on helping others. It's not about collecting a whole bunch of years. You know, there are people out there that are, you know, and this is not to take anyone's inventory. This is not to step on anyone. I'm trying to convey a message to you people out there so you understand what's real, what's true. This isn't my book. You know, this is our book. This is our literature. I didn't make this up. This is what's in our literature. But there's people out there that have never sponsored anyone. You know, I mean, what if Bill and Bob never gave back? We wouldn't have this program. You know, we wouldn't have a place to go. We wouldn't have anything. You know, I believe that, you know, this book will never be outdated. You follow the recipe that's in the book, you follow the instructions, and it works for you just like it works for them. And I'll never back off that. You know, this is not about process group. You know, this is not about group therapy, our meetings. It's not what it's about. You know, this is not about treatment. You know, this is not about a rehab. You know, while, you know, again, not bashing those things. You know, therapy, treatment, those things are tremendous. You know, I know a lot of people got clean and sober in treatment, but what's going to keep them clean and sober is not the treatment. It's going to be the God of their understanding. And I'll never back off that. You know, and there's a lot of people that are going to have a lot of issues with some of the things that I'm saying. Hey, that's not my problem. You know, that's not my issue. My goal here is to expose the truth to people about this program and how it had worked for me and what it can do for you if you choose to do the same things that our predecessors died to bring us. The instructions, the guide, the design for living that is in this book. I stayed sober for 11 years and was miserable more times than not. I didn't know the true happiness that the book talks about. I never could understand this whole fourth dimension of being rocketed into this existence of life that is just so good. I was a self-centered, self-seeking, fearful, egotistical prick. And it wasn't until I was willing to put everything I knew and just throw it out the window and learn a new set of conceptions that are based on helping others, you know, and the power of God did my life change. And that's what's happened. So with that, my friends, I am going to say thank you again for allowing me to serve you out there. I'm hoping that somewhere, someday, that this program is going to help somebody to a spiritual experience if it has not already. I feel really good about knowing that I'm leaving my mark on this world in this capacity. When I die, there will be something out there, sort of kind of like an electronic big book. You know, just like Bill, Bob, the first 100, they left their mark with this book. I've been able to leave my mark, you know, electronically out there for the world, for people who want to get help the way that I got help. And I'm telling you, while my life hasn't been without issues, I'm happier than I've ever been. I feel better than I've ever felt, and I know that the best is yet to come if I continue to do this work. So I thank my sponsors and the people who showed them and who have taught me, and my sponsees who allow me to teach them and stay current and stay fresh and to do the things it takes to stay recovered. And I thank you, the viewer, for taking the time to listen and to watch. And I really appreciate God putting me in a capacity to express my gratitude for this program and to teach you guys what I've been taught. That's it for Trudge. Thanks again for watching. May God bless you and keep you now and forever. I'm a recovered alcoholic. My name is Dexter. Signing out.